Hello, everyone. It's Happy Whiskey Wednesday. I'm Jack Bigadoo. I'm also known as the Hood Sommelier. And if you're here, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being here. Either you're on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, or you're tired of your boss and you checking LinkedIn to know what's happening. We're here. It's Wednesday. Grab a glass because we are going to learn a lot. This show, like I usually do, on podcasts, I ask questions and that, but this one is probably one of those rare ones that for sure are gonna be full of questions. But the weird part is actually I'm talking to a friend, which is even weirder because when you know the person you're interviewing, you can't help but you ask crazy and extra questions, but which actually gives you guys a little more of an insight. So if you hear the real question you should ask yourself is what is Gypsy whiskey? I saw this brand come about what the last 3 years. It's been around. Is it a celebrity brand? Is it not a celebrity brand? Who are the people behind it? What is happening? Why are they still on in the industry? Who is buying it? Is it always on your Facebook feed when you go through? I don't know. We are here to ask the hard and tough questions. And hopefully, by the end of this interview, you will know everything about the whiskey. We get to try the whiskey, and maybe you'll be a new Gypsy fan. But to answer all those questions, to dive into the brand, I brought the two people I heard. They'll get to confirm it. I heard are behind the brand. The first one is the man, the myth, the legend, the global entrepreneur and investor. His name is Raj. And yes, his name is really Raj Alva. And when I looked up Raj Alva, there was 27 of them. I couldn't find one that actually matched him. I had to go on Instagram to find him. Raj, thank you for coming on the show. But apparently, you have a sidekick. Before we started the show, we had to do sound check and tech, and I think we have him finally on. He's coming from NASA, probably still uses his 1994 Windows. His name is,
StarTech.
I can pick on him because he's my friend. Ari Sussman, everyone in the industry. If you don't know Ari, you probably are missing out. He doesn't like to be on camera. So just for him to be here today, he usually shy. He would do like podcast and he would do things that are voice, but he I got him to put his makeup on today and come on camera and make sure he talks to me. Ari, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Here's the truth is barrel proof, and we are here to ask the hard question. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
All
you
right, you
so
got
much
your
for having
StarTech camera to finally work. We were
Yep.
wondering if you were going to join.
me. I'm
We got
very happy to be here.
You on your phone? Is that computer didn't work? But
I turned the computer off, I turned it back on, and everything seems to be working pretty well.
all right.
sometimes that's all you need, right? Just turn it on and turn it back off, and next thing you know, it just work.
You know, Jack,
So
these creatives aren't very good with technology.
this is guilty. Guilty.
Just got to wait
So
till the kids are a little older. They can help them out.
My
older
8-year-old
millennial.
IT department, yes.
Exactly.
So let's start by introductions,
Okay.
right? I will let you guys choose who go first for the people who don't know you or the people that never, heard of Raj or heard of Ari. Um, Gives you a
Uh-oh.
chance to introduce yourself, and I always ask my guests, tell us your background and how in the heck did you end up in this crazy industry we call the whiskey industry.
Well, since Ari's frozen now, his StarTech appears to have locked out. Oh, there we
No,
go.
he's back. He's back. We got him back. He's back.
Save the juice. The batteries don't work on those for very
Yeah,
long.
and you got to turn your do not disturb on because somebody calls you, they have a chance to actually change your
Exactly.
metrics.
I guess I'll start because I think he's frozen again. This is going to be an interesting interview. So Raj Alva, yes, when you have, I don't know how many Indians there are in the world now, but it's a couple billion. There's odds are there's going to be a few of us.
Correct.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
I was actually born in India, moved to the States as a kid, grew up in Michigan, also from Michigan. Actually, and our COO is from Michigan. Total coincidence. And worked on Wall Street for a while, investing. Going back when we moved here, my dad had $1,000 in his pocket. My mom and I were back in India. He got a job. He's an engineer. And brought us over with him, and it's kind of the old school story of immigration here.
I can relate.
Yeah, and I just kind of had a chip on my shoulder of always wanting to be successful and do things, and wanted to go into business, and went to school, worked on Wall Street, doing mergers and acquisitions and private equity, buying companies and investing in companies and selling businesses, and was kind of doing a lot of different things, and from Dunkin' Donuts investments to Grayson Clothiers, which is one of my companies I started with some friends. It's one of the largest golf and clothing leisure companies now in the country. We started from scratch. And I'm giving a very short version of this, but I was on a golf trip and I met our other partner, Eric Church, who's a country music singer. And
I mean, he's only one of the most known name in the country music, but just
yeah,
another friend.
well, Jack, I didn't know who he was on the trip, so I was the only person
Whoa.
who didn't know who he was. And yeah, I told this story before, but we were paired up a lot, and he was late every morning. I was waiting for him in the golf cart, and every single morning he'd be late, and he would just come in with a big smile on his face with 2 beers for us already open. I said, "All right, this guy's okay," and we ended up bonding that trip and stayed friends. And we had kind of bounced around. He was asking me what I do. I asked him what he does in terms of outside of the singing world, understanding his career. And he brought up this whiskey partnership he had with Jack Daniels, and said he was only the second person ever to have his name on a bottle of Jack, Frank Sinatra being the first. And I said, "Well, did you ever think of doing something on your own?" And that was mistake number one for me. That's how I ended up in this industry. I'm only joking, but and that his ears perked up and said, "I've been thinking about it." And then he called me after, and we talked about it for about 6 months. I did some research, called a lot of people in the industry, and thought it was a fascinating place. And my whole thing is, if you go into a business like this, you have to find something. We'll talk about it obviously during the hour, but you have to find something that's differentiated. If you go into an industry that's got this much competition with this much capital in it, and just try to be a Me Too or slap Eric's name on it, he and I agreed right off the bat, it's not going to be a celebrity brand. This has to be, if we're going to do this, it has to be something different. And Ari can talk to that.
So you brought in the big guns.
Well, yeah, and so we didn't have the big guns at that point. We were just conceptualizing and just setting some parameters, which really we had no parameters. We just said, let's see what the market is. And so that's how we kind of came to this decision of, we're going to do something very different. And we started interviewing people, and I had a bunch of names. Ari's name had come through the channels, and I talked to some very brand names that you would know from some of the biggest distillers who were interested. But when we met Ari, we said, we really, both Eric and I both clicked, because he's so creative. We were all thinking out of the box, trying to be out of the box, and this is a good segue to get to his background and his intro. But it really was a great fit for us, because between Ari's creativity and thinking, and we were really just throwing some crazy ideas at each other, and what could be differentiated, and what the industry is currently like. Respect tradition, but try to do something outside of it, respecting it. And we just clicked right from the start. Eric clicked right from the start with him. And that's how we got to Mr. Sussman. So
And Mr. Sussman, the craziest is I have 2 Sussmen in my life that I like very much. Grant Sussman, my first, I call him my favorite Jew, and he's the first Sussman I knew, still friend till today. And Ari,
Runner up.
Runner up, runner up.
Second favorite.
Well, Grant knows how to use his computer camera, so that's
Yeah,
that's
Grant.
why he's
Grant
gonna do
actually
it.
is the Grant actually is a computer engineer. So
Yeah, see, there you go. That's the one you have to call.
We have to if he and I could be merged into a single.
you know what, powerhouse there.
That would be powerful.
Jack, I think this is the first time. Now, I've obviously watched you interview people many
Right.
times, and I've learned a ton, and I've been inspired by the people who you talk to. I think this is the first time
Yeah.
that we've actually.
You know, you won't let me bring your camera. That's what I'm saying. I got you to put your makeup on and show up on camera today. So, you know, it's also bad that the phone is so close because if I need you, I just call you. So it's almost weird because you never want to interview your friends because, like, I can just talk to you.
Listen, thank you for doing everything you. Thank you for doing everything you do in this industry. You bring these stories to the public. You find all kinds of brands, Whiskey Jypsi included, but all sorts of brands that a lot of other folks don't cover and don't necessarily cover in nearly as much depth. So we're very happy to be here with you. And to Raj's point, there is this group of people, and I've been immensely fortunate to be amongst them, who get contacted when new ideas or new businesses get started, kind of like the headhunt circuit. And 99 times out of 100, I am very happy to take a phone call and say, I think you should go talk to this person because they're going to be really good at executing whatever it is that you want. You're able to hear me okay?
Yep, I can.
And the rule of thumb is to generally say no to opportunities when they come in, unless they're, again, highly differentiated and represent something special. And when I met Raj and then met Eric, and the passion with which they were approaching the whiskey industry, the idea of not being concerned with tradition, because this industry is bogged down in tradition. There's so much tradition, and we love tradition. It's wonderful, but it can be a little limiting. It can oftentimes be limiting. But what Raj and Eric brought in terms of a vision, it was really compelling. It was not one of those conversations where I said, hey, go talk to this other person to develop your ideas. It's, let's have another conversation. I want to know where you are coming from. What is compelling you to invest time, treasure in putting into the whiskey industry, and to do things that are not necessarily market tested in a conventional sense. Raj said no Me Too brands, and Raj and Eric were very different. Talking to them is very different than talking to normal entrepreneurs, because they had vision and confidence and a desire to essentially break the rules. That's compelling to a whiskey maker. It's been a journey.
So I'd like to always follow the story to see kind of the birth, or should I say the genesis of any brand that come on, because like Raj mentioned and you mentioned, as a whiskey enthusiast, I'm sick and tired of seeing new brand come on the market. There is this overload of almost too much Me Too, or too much, hey, I'm doing something too, check it out. The reason why I bring people on my show is always to learn about their story. The reason why is because I want to know where my dollar goes and who I'm supporting. And I always tell my audience, it's never about the brand. It's never about the bottle or the whiskey. It's about the people. If I'm spending 50, 60, 70, even $100 to buy a bottle, I want to be able to open that bottle while I share with a friend and say, hey, let me tell you about this guy named Raj. Remember, we are immigrant, right? Yeah. Remember how we came here? Yeah, this guy did the same thing. That for me is the whiskey. That is the story. And that's the story. I'm already compelled to like you, Raj, because we all had to have the same journey, what I call the immigrant uphill battle, and understand really how to start from the bottom and kind of climb
It's
your
a
way up.
wonderful country. Let's just do that.
You correct. And You talk with Eric. Eric was, had to deal with Jack with the Eric Church release. Then it's okay. I really want to do something on my own. You say, great idea. Let's do it. You do your research to call him the alchemist because he always liked to take things that don't seem like they should belong together and bring them together. That's how I see
We
Ari
call
all
him
the
the
time.
mad scientist.
Correct.
We
He's
call him
an
the mad
alchemist.
scientist.
That's
Yeah, when
that's
I
where that's
described him
that's how I
to
describe
Eric, I
him.
said the mad scientist.
So for me, you find Ari, and Ari goes, yeah. So what was the first project you worked on? Obviously, I have three expression in front of me. What was the first project you worked on, and how did that project came about? How do you, golf guy, country star that like, obviously Tennessee whiskey there, and a guy that actually not only love local grains, and like to push for local and craft to actually create a product that can be for everybody.
Yeah, Ari, do you want to talk about? Well, I'll give. You didn't touch on this when we were talking to Ari. He asked us, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And we said, "Listen, we don't want to put a box around this. You can do whatever you want." And there's something a little different we did in our business on the whiskey side that most people don't, which is we started at a higher price point than most people. Most people start low and then add these special releases. And my fear of doing that was if we did that with a celebrity attached to the brand, everyone would say, I'm not trying it. It's garbage. It's a celebrity whiskey. So we decided that we were going to let Ari loose to spend whatever he wanted on whatever he wanted to create what we thought would be one of the better whiskeys we've ever had. And so we still have this lab that we use with woods from all over the world, whiskeys from all over the world. And so we let him loose, and we went through a bunch of different iterations, and that's how the legacy line came about. And I'll let Ari kind of talk about it because he came up with the genius idea, the first one, which was single grains.
Yeah. So so they said there's no rules. Go be creative and make something excellent. Go make something special. But for me, in part of the creative process is putting up boundaries, putting up guardrails. It can't just be anything. It kind of have to be moving in a direction. And frankly, I wasn't really initially that familiar with Eric's music. I've since become familiar with it and I've gone deep into it. And I truly love it. He's a phenomenal generational talent. And it's amazing that I came to his music by first meeting him and being creative together and then learning about his music. But after our initial conversation, after I saw his passion and Raj's passion, and I decided I got to get to know Eric through his art. So I put on my headphones and I listened through his entire catalog, and I was really taken back. I was really surprised and impressed and inspired by his ability to make country music, American, very traditional American music, but he was able to pull in these elements of different types of music. You could hear elements of Scotch Irish folk music. You could hear the arena rock that we all love. There were elements of hip hop and blues, and it felt like he was making country music, but it very much was influenced by these other musical traditions. And that struck me as unique and special. And I wondered what would a whiskey version of that kind of music be? What would an American style of whiskey be if it brought in whiskey making traditions like Eric's bringing in these different musical traditions? And the idea that we came to was, American whiskey is oftentimes categorized by the mash bill. The standard of identity is oftentimes categorized by the mash bill. Are you more corn? Are you high rye bourbon? Are you low rye bourbon? And that's kind of how we define, in a sense, modern American whiskey. So I thought it would be fun to make a whiskey in the style of that, but to use inputs from all over the world, whatever spirits are good, grain forward spirits. So instead of making a whiskey that's a mash bill of, let's call it 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley, Make
Or
a
do
blend
what you
that's,
mean? Do the standard of what everybody does.
which is a very standard traditional mash bill. Instead of mixing the grains together and fermenting them and distilling and aging them together in that mash bill, how about go find the best expression of a mature corn whiskey or corn forward whiskey? Make that 70% of the blend. Go find a rye whiskey, a beautiful rye whiskey, make that 21% of the blend. And find a single malt somewhere and make that 9% of the blend. In a sense, reconstruct a bourbon mash bill using grain forward spirits from anywhere in the world. In the lab that Raj mentioned that we have in Nashville, with different woods from different places in the world, also has different spirits, fully seasoned, mature spirits from different
Ari,
places in the world.
sorry, if I could just interrupt on that part. What's one thing Ari told me early on about, because I asked why did they age these things all together as opposed to separately. He said that these grains all mature at different points. Their prime drinking age is different. Corn is different than rye, is different than malt, right? A 4-year-old malt is actually not bad versus a 4-year-old corn, right? So he was able to bring something out here in terms of maturity and bringing in the right age categories and blending. So Ari, I just wanted to make sure people understood that, because some people might not know that.
Yeah, that's right. They age at different. Not only do grains age at different rates, but depending on where they're aging, if they're aging in a warm climate like Tennessee or a cooler climate like Canada, the same spirit will age very differently. Temperature affects maturation. Temperature affects the amount of dissolved oxygen that can be in a liquid, and the amount of dissolved oxygen drives all kinds of esterification reactions and things that happen, flavors and aromas that can develop over time in the barrel.
And also, Ari, in a way, you are not reinventing the wheel. You actually took the idea of a bourbon mash bill, but used the Canadian way of blending whiskey to actually
Correct.
create a product that cannot neither be called Canadian whiskey, but also not be called literally a blended whiskey in the sense of what it's supposed to be.
It's a cross category, different types of whiskey. So in the first legacy, it's 70% bourbon. It's 70%. It's a 99% corn bourbon. 99% corn, 1% malted barley is 70% of the blend. And then there's a 20-year-old rye from Canada that's 21% of the blend. And then we used an American single malt, an emerging category that we're very excited by, that plays very well with others. We think that single malt is just a really, not only American single malts from all over the world really play well with bourbon and rye.
You don't have to convince me. I'm a single malt junkie, so you don't have to convince me.
Right. And we love single malts as well, but using single malt as an ingredient in a blend, it serves a different function than drinking it purely by itself. And so the idea behind Legacy was to reconstruct, and we do one every year, reconstruct traditional American bourbon mash bills in the style of an American whiskey, but use spirits from all over the world. And that was the idea that we came out with. It was something that kind of was inspired by bartenders. Jack, I don't know if you've been a bartender. We haven't really discussed this. Have you ever
I've been around a lot of bartenders and behind a lot of bars, cleaning, picking up ice. I carrying more ice than I can talk about.
Okay, my man. Yeah, so blending different spirits together is something that bartenders do quite a bit of, but not always. Sometimes it's after hours. I was a bartender for a good long while. It was the best training session for blending I could have ever imagined. And blending different types of whiskeys, blending single malts and bourbon after hours. That's what we as bartenders did for fun. And I really believe that Whiskey Jypsi's Legacy series is the first expression or series to really kind of delve into that bartender's approach to blending.
Okay. Now, I have the second Legacy here in front of me. We talked a lot about the whiskey. Let's try it. This is going to be This is the best part of every one of my interviews. No one gets to actually. I never touch any spirit till I talk to the people that made the spirit. Then I get to try it
Get,
live. If worked really well in the past, and it went really south in the past. So everybody brace yourself. Brace
so I
yourself.
should specify that that the one you're trying, which is Legacy 2, is the second release in the Legacy series, is our riff on a 36% high rye mash bill.
Correct. So,
And
which I
you
really
can see on the
love
back of the
this.
label.
Correct. I really love what you guys done this for everybody that's looking at the bottle here. If you actually looked, transparency. When it comes to whiskey, I tell everybody, if you're not transparent, get out. I will never actually talk to anyone that doesn't come with transparency. You want to hide something? Don't talk to me. I'm not your guy at all. So
That
for
was an important part of our whole
correct.
message was we want everything on the bottle.
So clearly, Eve, because the reason why it's important to me is actually based on being a new whiskey drinker and being confused by every review, every person on the internet telling me what I need to know. So for me, it's very important for someone to me to look at a bottle and go, hey, this is a blend of 60% American whiskey that has a mash bill of 84 corn, 8 rye, and is 8 rye, 8 malted, 11 year. Okay, got it. What is it? 36% Canadian rye. Got it. And there is a twist here of 4% Indian single malt, 100% malted barley, 10 years old. Okay, now you got, excuse my French, but you got my nipples hard because now I'm like, I'm excited. We got some Indian whiskey mixed here, blended here. So I want to try it immediately. And it's for me, it's worth the adventure. That's really the type of person I am. Is that transparency? Let me go. Okay. Oh, Remarkable required the blending of 3 age whiskey. Okay, got it. I'm not, I don't need anything else. I turn around, I go, okay, what's the ABV on it? ABV sitting right here is 57.15. Do I feel like cack straight today? That would be my choice. So I know I love the transparency. So first
Jack,
ever,
look at the finish on the rye component. That's also on the bottle.
ooh, the rye was finished in a tawny Oloroso and vermouth barrel. So y'all went berserk in here.
Yeah. That's why it's called the Alchemist.
So there we go. This is Jypsi. Now, I'm not one to actually talk a lot about people's bottle, but the bottle usually tells me how much people spend
Yeah.
or how much people bottle, budget when it comes to designers. I've done enough interview that when I look at a bottle immediately, I'm like, these people got money, or they don't got money, or they just cheap. It tells me everything I need to know. The design of this bottle spell luxurious, I like to say a spell opulence and also attention to detail and obviously maturity. That's where my artistic part is coming out. That's where when I look at this bottle, the weight on this bottle is important. Those are things that matter to me. Obviously,
one year to design that.
Say what?
1 year of our project was designing that bottle.
And
we,
you know what?
We have only found
Yeah.
one person in the world that can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously have nice cork. You guys didn't play with that. Obviously, you can literally read on it, right? There is a little gypsy in all of us. Yeah, that is true. So, bottle is beautiful. You want to impress your friend. You want to buy something to someone to let them know, I got you. I respect you enough to actually get you something solid. This is it, right? When it comes to bottle design. Now, my camera is refocusing. Color, beautiful. Color tells me everything I need to know when it comes to maturation or type of barrel. Use legs. Ari, I won't be. I won't go. I'm not gonna give you the nice guy, lines.
Bring it.
Beautiful
No, of
legs.
course not. And you never would. No, just open lines of communication between us always.
Wow. Okay. Nose, Christmas cake, clove, walking into a it's like walking into a bakery that just made some marzipan and dusted with some cinnamon. Beautiful nose. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. It smells a little bit like like that good smell from an old bookstore or an old
Mhm.
library. There's something there that
It remind me of a
reminds me of
smell of
books.
a speakeasy. If you walk into a basement speakeasy, that mouthfeel is like a hug from an old friend. Just stays in. Beginning had me worried a little bit. Because of that corn, I was expecting more sweetness, but it's not. It's actually it remind me of the beginning of a single malt, not the beginning of a bourbon. Those tawny and cherry cat literally now in the middle, those casks are dancing on my palate in the middle. And that finish, it's peaceful. That's the best way to describe the finish. It's not short, it's not long, it's peaceful. It's just right where you need it. You get that perfect hug coming down like a warm embrace. And that aftertaste is that marzipan there. It's like just finished chewing on some almonds with that with a little bit of that dark chocolate that you get from those tiny pork. So we're starting the right way. We're starting the right way.
Those are uh, those are good notes. Those are good tasting notes. You don't approach it in the same way that I think whiskey writers do.
Mm-mm.
It feels very experiential when you describe what a whiskey reminds you of, or what it makes you think of.
Oh yeah. Second sip, anise and clove. That spiciness right in the middle of the palate. Now, all I want right now, I want a shepherd pie. When I'm having this, I want a shepherd pie right now. Like, and I want it with some serious chopped up meat at the bottom of that shepherd pie. I want it to be white meat, so some chicken or some turkey, because I have all the spice I need here. I want to make a Manhattan with this, so I can actually have it with some steak. So
We were originally
that's
going to
where
call it the Manhattan when had a different finish. That was
that
originally.
cloviness. Like right now, I'm about to start sweating a little bit because now those clove and anise, that little bit of ginger spice now is coming down there. I hate and love that it sticks with you. It's like if you had a sip from someone, say, "Hey, can I try it real quick?" and you walk away, you're like, "Shit, can I get another sip of this?" That's I want it now. I want to put it through the ringer. I want to have it on ice. I want to have it I want to have it with some water. I want to break it down to see if does it get better? Does it get worse? Does it open up? Because I feel like I'm not even doing it justice right now because I can feel all those molecules packed up in my mouth, and I want to add some water to break it up to see if it blooms or what happened to it. Does it
It
fall
does.
flat?
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. We are starting the right way. If this is how you started and this is how you're putting out there, there is something I'd like to tell people: hidden whiskeys with weird stories. I tell people all the time is anything attached to a celebrity always have a bad name. And 80% of the time they're horrible stuff that are out there. Terrible. But that 20%, when it's done right, is done so well that is almost those discoveries that you have to force yourself to find. And I feel this Jypsi, this legacy, I want to take it now to start telling people, let me have you try something. You tell me which whiskey is it. That bringing the world together, I felt it. I love single malt. I've tried whiskeys from all around the world. And if a whiskey make me almost excited because it's like I cannot place it, now I want to sit and and really dive into the whiskey. And that's what you created. You created something that brightened curiosity. And I would tell all whiskey drinkers, are you tired of the day-to-day whiskey? Do you want to drink something and start asking questions and say, what the hell is this? You should probably Jypsi Legacy so far is the what the hell is this? And I'm loving it. So congrats. Ari, I hear that you do a good job, but you just showed me you do a good job.
Thank you. So one thing that I found was that Indian single malt in this one, what you're tasting, you mentioned the Manhattan cocktail. And earlier I talked about how Legacy was in a sense inspired by what bartenders do after hours, right? We were thinking about the Manhattan cocktail, which was the first cocktail that Raj and I had when we sat down. We both enjoy Manhattans, and I love Manhattans with a high rye bourbon. So when we decided to do a riff on a high rye bourbon, we thought let's think about the Manhattan, which is where the idea of finishing the 20-year-old rye component in port vermouth and sherry barrels came from, to sort of mimic the effects of sweet vermouth. And we really loved the spice, particularly in the rye, but how it also interacted with the 10-year-old Indian single malt, which you mentioned a couple times, the anise and the clove and the cinnamon, and that's what
I'm loving it. And you know,
bitters.
Raj, I'm sure you are not a stranger to anise, clove, and any spice that comes through as an Indian descendant.
It's that Indian single malt, by the way, is speaking of Indian descendants, it was the 5-year-old version of that won double gold, and that's the 10-year-old version. It is spectacular by itself.
I'm telling you now. I'll be honest. And Ari heard me say this before. I'm very leery of anything that come on the market. But if you wanted to make a fan out of me and you handed me this bottle, you made a fan out of me. Because like I'm telling you right now, obviously Ari and I work on a few little things every now and then. But this Jypsi, I've seen never. This is officially, and for everybody watching or watching the recast, this is my first time having it. I've never tried it before. Never. Maybe I've judged it and won a competition, but never tried it. Like sit down and knew exactly what I'm drinking in front of me, and I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm not what I expected at all. Not at all. This is a, excuse my French, but this is a mind fuck. That's the best way to put it. And I'm glad you guys are putting something. It does not get the credit it deserves. So count on me to start talking about it, because I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. Maybe because of the celebrity connotation, but this is fantastic whiskey.
Thank you.
And it should be praised. Should be praised.
Thank
So we have the legacy series, but then you came up with another series, and I think this one actually doesn't rely so much on the whiskey itself, but more we start playing now with barrels or with wood and provenance. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so even at the beginning, we had the idea that Whiskey Jypsi could have multiple tiers of releases. The Legacy series is our annual version of whiskey blending. This is where we are in terms of whiskey blending, And what the Explorer series is our riff or our approach to wood finishing. Wood finishing is obviously a big trend in the entire industry. A lot of people do wood finishing, but because our brand stands for something, because Raj and Eric and myself and the other people in the group, we think about this thing, this gypsy spirit that we talk about, this idea that we should travel, respect all cultures, not pay that much attention to political geography. Let's just talk. Let's get the best. Let's make the best whiskey possible, and then explore the stories of the culture and the agriculture that we're highlighting. And so for the first version of Explorer, for the first volume of Explorer, we decided that we were going to start. This is going to be an approachable whiskey, but it was going to be like our riff on wood finishing. So we wanted to start with a 6-year-old base product, minimum of 6-year-old base product, because we wanted that maturity there initially. And then we knew that we wanted to bottle the product between 100 and 105 proof. So not cask strength, but not necessarily an everyday sipper.
Which I have to tell you, I am so glad. I am so glad you guys didn't do the bullshit that this brand do to give you a 45% or 42% ABV whiskey because, oh my God, the average consumers, people are tired of those low proof whiskey. Yes, they have their place, but when you're coming out, you better come correct. And that's how I feel. So the fact that you're already 103 on this one get me already excited because the average whiskey drinker is tired of the bullshit that people come out with that 80 proof because we want to be safe. So I'm glad you didn't play it safe.
Jack, we
Please.
kind of did it. So the Legacy, which is 200 a bottle, is only released once a year, and the product you see will never be made again. So we're using components that will never be released again.
So you mean if you have a version of the Legacy, of the version of the Explorer, that is it.
No,
The
this
next Explorer is
sorry. So
Legacy. I'm
Legacy, the
sorry,
one you
Legacy.
had first, will never
Okay,
be released again. So 002, which is the one you have,
correct,
it's only released once, 1 year, and then once it's gone, it's gone. And then we create another mash bill as 003.
correct.
We knew we had to. The plan was always to have different price points for because not everybody can afford 200. Not everybody can frankly afford 70.
Correct.
And so from our viewpoint, we want to make sure we did an analysis of different products at different price points, and we want to make sure we were always at the high proof. Obviously, taste and product quality was the first thing, but we always wanted to make sure we were not skimping on the proof to make sure that people can decide on their own, right? So we and you'll see the third one, which is the next level down, a lower proof, but it's still a cool finish. So Explorer is going to have some finishes that stay forever. This one I like so much, we are probably going to keep repeating this product over time. Ari's got another one that's going to be released. It'll probably only be released once, unless and so there's a whole bunch of this layer of products that are going to be either limited time releases or kind of repeat releases. This one you're going to have is going to be a repeat.
So what we have here is quite interesting because the way you actually put the flavor profile, you structure it a little different. So I want to show the back of the bottle. This is the first time I saw anybody put it this way, almost like a new flavor wheel, right?
Yeah.
Where you come in and you go, okay, you have leather. I mean, I feel like it's a little suggestive, but you got leather, you got dry fruit, you got oak, you got vanilla, you got the structure itself and the length of the finish. You kind of structure it that way, which for me was quite interesting because when I looked at it, I said, wait a minute, what is happening here? What I had to sit back down and read it again with the transparency. You went more traditional on this whiskey, 66% corn, 30% rye, 4% malted barley.
Yeah, it's actually a blended mash bill. It's a blend of a high rye, a 36% rye, and a 21% rye. So the mash bill that we have there is the ratio, the actual ratio of the two products that went into it. And if you think about a high rye bourbon, it's going to have elevated spice, to keep it simple, and a lower rye bourbon is going to have elevated sweetness. And what we looked for was a balance between the spice and the sweetness in the base spirit before we did any wood augmentation. We wanted we found a balance between the spiciness of the high rye and the sweetness of the low rye bourbons. And then we get funky with the wood. And
Yeah,
just
and
like
the choice of wood, I would like to hear more about. Now the French oak, totally understand. Appalachian oak, what is that? Appalachian stave, what is that?
yeah.
Don't tell Eric that. That's where he went to college.
Right. So there are in France, there are something like 9 forests that provide staves for the spirits as well as the wine industry, and each of the forests is managed differently, and they're kind of perceived as having different characteristics in each of the forests. And so when we were looking for oak from France, we determined that the Trancé forest, which is the oak stand, it was planted hundreds and hundreds of years ago originally to provide lumber for the French Navy for their warships. But after warships were no longer made out of wood, and they realized that the oak from the Trancé was in many ways superior to many other oak stands on Earth, it became the preferred stave source for barrels that went to cognac for brandy, as well as to Bordeaux for wines. And Bordeaux wines are big wines. It's a big, robust wine, and it demands an active cask with a lot of character to offer its structure. So as we were thinking about forests in France, we looked at the Trancé and we did our aging experiments, and it was just phenomenal. It provides this cedar and spice. You mentioned clove, cedar, spice, clove, all kinds of really great spicy flavors that you would associate with French oak. But then you asked about the Appalachian oak. Just like France has different forests that have different characteristics, it's the same in the United States. We get most of our staves from Missouri in general. It's a large supplier of independent stave company. But there's also varieties of oak in the Pacific Northwest and in Minnesota and in other parts of the country. Each one of them is a little bit different. Growing conditions affect not only the compounds in the wood, but the concentrations of the compounds in the wood. And Appalachia has been producing high-end staves for a very long time. And the staves that come from Appalachia have elevated vanillin, sweetness, vanilla flavors that we felt really complemented the French oak. So if you think about the base spirit is this balance of spicy high rye bourbon and sweeter low rye bourbon. We tried to accentuate both of those characteristics with our wood selection. So we accentuate the rye with the French oak, and we're accentuating the corn with the Appalachian oak with high vanillin content.
Walking into a barn, some hay, very floral and sweet at the same time. Obviously, a little bit of cocoa, dark chocolate. Cheers. Mm, okay. So the legacies for the grown folks. This is dessert. This is where we play at. This is where we have fun. For me, is creamy oatmeal with dash of cinnamon and a dash of clove powder. That's for me. It's creamy. Literally, as a child, I always have oatmeal with concentrated milk in it, and it's like fresh hot oatmeal That feeling is just creamy, buttery, with a little bit of cinnamon on top, some nutmeg. That this dessert, this is for me, this is a treat. This is anybody can drink this. This is like even if you just new into whiskey, you can drink this. Yeah.
You talk about the sweetness when you say oatmeal. I think sweetness. That's the Appalachian oak. That's the
Hmm.
American oak. That's the high vanillin content, mouthfeel, oils. And when you talk about cinnamon and clove, that is the French oak, and also the rye. So we're trying to balance those characteristics, just like great food. And we know
Hmm.
you love good food. You blend sweet and spicy. You blend bitter and sour. You put different flavors
Right.
together. This is really our approach to sweet and spicy.
Lilac. A low of those herbaceous note are coming on a third finish. Like third sip, now I'm getting to those herbaceous note. The whiskey opens up. It keeps going. It's not a heavy finish, but God, I love the beginning of the whiskey. It's like a nerdy playground of just honestly, you should have just changed the name, not call it Explorer, call it the Night Pour.
Hmm.
Like this, what I will pour before I go to bed. Like, okay, I'm ready to pour myself something before I go to bed. Let me pour myself to have that. You get a little bit of that. I call it the whiskey sweet tooth. You want a little bit. You don't want anything that have sweetness in it. You don't want anything, I would say, with flavoring, but you want that whiskey sweet tooth. And this for me is to satisfy your whiskey sweet tooth craving. The guy who want his last cigar before he goes to bed. He this has so many dark cocoa, nice, sweet, creamy, hefty, kind of that chewiness of that oatmeal, some spice note. I want to pair this with a cigar. Like that's the first thing I want to do. Like literally light me, give me a sweet Jane, or light me an F4 of Drew Estate and hand it to me. I want something buttery that I can actually just pair with this right now. Cigar lovers, you found your whiskey. If you haven't, if you're looking for a new whiskey to pair your cigar, this is it. This is
That's
this
what
is
I did all last week. Monday and Tuesday was cigars and Gypsy Explorer with
I'm, t-
some
I'm
buddies on a golf trip.
if you pair this with a nice cigar,
Excellent.
you have gold right here.
Yeah.
This is it. So obviously you hit two home runs. Why don't you stop there?
Because we're still at that price point that not everybody can afford it. $70
Okay.
in this day and age. So we need to come up with something that really could appeal to people who wanted to get into the brand but couldn't afford it. So we were trying to
So
figure out what
somebody
could we do that's
somebody
still
want to
high
get into
quality.
Gypsy,
Yeah,
and they go, okay, I can't afford your legacy because it's too much. That's for the OGs,
yeah.
and they say, oh, the Explorer for me. Oh, you know what? Let me answer this question. Somebody asked on IG. So you're telling me that a Rocky Patel, decade and Gypsy is the move? I am guaranteeing it. I am guaranteeing it. I'm not saying I'm putting my reputation on it. And I know what that Rocky Patel tastes like. I've had it before. That's the move.
I'm gonna
Get yourself a bottle of Explorer
Rocky's
and
next door
Rocky
neighbors
Patel.
with my friend. I'm gonna have to tell him that.
You see, Rocky Patel, Rocky Patel. So you see, maybe one day Raj can pull up a Rocky Patel and Gypsy event, so we can
Exactly.
come and
I
enjoy
think
it.
that'll be a great one.
I'm telling you right now, because that Explorer and cigar, like that's all I want right now. Like I want to sit outside right now in this perfect weather before it start getting hot. Pour me a glass of Explorer and light myself a nice cigar and just go for it. Because for me, and Ari knows this about me, it's not about The brand is how he makes me feel. And if you can make me feel with your whiskey, you got me. If you can make me feel, you got me. A lot of people don't make whiskey to make people feel. They make whiskey to make people taste.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake. And for me, I, I almost don't like Ari right now because he's making me feel. He's taking me back to my childhood. He's making me crave things which I'm on this strict diet, make me crave things that I want to do right now because when I had this whiskey, my head, the first thing that came about, let me grab a cigar right now. Let me have a cigar, let me sit outside, and let me just have this. I want to take it. I don't even need a lot of bitters. I don't even Demerara, 2 ounces of this, chocolate bitters, literally a hella bitters with some ginger and some clove hella bitters, and literally flip it around in the glass and pour it on a glass of ice, sit outside, light up a cigar. That's my old fashioned, just wrap, I use apple, dry apples to put as my top, a dry apple on top of it. I'm outside already having that. I can see it on a golf course already. Like, pull this bottle up. You want to impress the golf buddies that have a cigar. Get yourself a bottle like Explorer and let them go crazy. Don't say anything. Don't even show them the bottle. Just pour them some and let them go crazy.
Shout out to Hella Bitters too. I also love Hella Bitters.
Oh yeah, no, you
Like,
can't tell me
man,
nothing. Hella bitters is all I believe in. But so we have two great whiskey. We could have stopped the interview right here and send people to go check out. Which uh, I apologize. I already had it pulled up, but I didn't even show it. I want to tell everybody that when it comes to online business, to make sure that things get to you, you talking to the best in the biz. So you check out their website. I promise you, you're gonna actually be behooved. You're gonna be impressed. I want everybody to go here while we're talking about the whiskey. Check out this. That's all you got to do. Check this out. Let me know. I'm not gonna tell you what the website is like. For me, I love the website. I flipping love it. It's just most beautiful and attractive color wise and everything else. And Raj still have his high school haircut on it. Go check it out. He's cool. He's cool now with the swag. But if you go on that website, you will see he still have the corporate America haircut on it. So, brother,
You
I'm
can't be
not trying to
corporate
make
America with a
you.
country music button.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make you buy a bottle, man. You need to have a bottle. I tell everybody, for me, and honestly, for the average whiskey drinker, I'm not even gonna tell you to try to get yourself. If you can find yourself a bottle of Legacy, that's fine. But for the average whiskey drinker, I'm telling you now, you need yourself a bottle of Explorer. And this is how, and I'm gonna tell you this for all of you guys. I'm just gonna make it very easy for you. Somebody said already there. Oh yes, people already on the website. But I'm gonna share this with y'all so you see exactly what's happening. Right? I'm gonna make it easy for you guys to know how easy it is to be on this website. I'm here. I saw the Explorer. Literally, you go to your whiskey. It will say if you want the tribute, the Explorer, or the Legacy. I want the Explorer. Buy fine. Click on it. You can either see if it's in your zip code. You can see people in Florida all have it. But I want to shop online because obviously I don't have it in front of me. Guess what I'm doing? I'm getting it online. Yet while using show me where it is, I'm right here. The Explorer is right here. $69.99. $69.99. And you can actually spend a little bit of money and get both for 109. Or if you really want to impress everybody in the neighborhood, look at this beauty. Look how beautiful it is. Look at this beauty. That's for your boss if you want to impress him and get your next promotion. But you click on your thing, 69.99, put it in your cart, is already there. They can ship everywhere, but there's 4 states down here, everywhere. So go for it. It is that easy. I'm just telling you. 69.99 for a minimum of 6-year-old bourbon. You can't find that. Even your grandfather ain't gonna let you have that. So just do it. I'm just telling you, do it for yourself, and you can thank me later. Don't thank me now. Thank me later when you actually have it with your cigar. You can thank me later. So yeah, like I said, you have 2 great bottles. They're amazing. We already, we online. We already buying it. Why is it that you need a third bottle?
This is the one where we were telling you, the entry point. It was interesting when we got into this business. I didn't realize that anything over $25 was considered premium. So I was used to wine.
Welcome to the whiskey world.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was used to wine where prices are a lot higher, and so we want to make sure everybody was able to participate in the Jypsi brand. And so I didn't not plan on going down to this $45 price, but it was important to give people what they could afford, right? And allow them to try. So Ari and I noodled on this one for a while on what can we do to not just, a straight out of the barrel 80-10-10 product. And that's where we came up with Tribute, which is our entry level. And hopefully that's at a price point. And with all of our products, we probably could charge more, but we're trying to keep it, our view is we just eat some of the margin to basically get people in. So,
and that is something I would tell you, Raj, that is appreciated, right? Because right now the whiskey market is a fickle one. No one really knows where things goes. So all the companies, even if they're premium, that are putting something out for the average person, those people are paying attention.
Yeah.
People are definitely paying attention.
I hope so, because between the bottle, the closure, like I said, the bottle took forever. It took another 6 months to a year to find somebody that could make it. We went to Italy, we went everywhere. So even the label, if you go on the label, there's a lot of thought behind it. So that's kind of the ethos of our brand, which is make sure we give everybody the highest quality of everything we can do. And we don't want the last nickel. We're doing this for the long term. We weren't building this to sell it. We're building this to build something that's fun, that we all enjoy, and that everybody else can enjoy too, hopefully, that likes whiskey.
You know what? And you guys have came up with Tribute.
Yeah.
Tell me about Tribute. What is Tribute? I know the price of Tribute, which is very approachable. I know the proof of Tribute. But tell me about Tribute.
The idea behind Tribute, like what Raj was saying, is create something that's accessible, not only economically, not only not exorbitantly expensive, but also something that's maybe accessible to people who aren't necessarily whiskey aficionados, that want to learn about whiskey and want to understand what makes whiskey Jypsi a little different. So what Raj and Eric's challenge was for Tribute is make an everyday sipper for people who either you love whiskey already or you're still learning about whiskey. It doesn't exclude anybody, but figure out steps in the whiskey making process to elevate that whiskey so that it really is a tribute to the people who are enjoying it, a tribute to just having a good time with friends without breaking the bank. So the challenge, Jack, was this: take the idea of an everyday sipper and figure out ways of making it better. And we identified 3 ways that we wanted to take an everyday sipper and just elevate it a little bit. The first one is grain. Most whiskey is made with grain, particularly corn, that doesn't have a ton of grain flavor, but it wasn't always like that. Before Prohibition, There were all kinds of varieties of grain, corn, rye, barley, that were specified, just like we specify uh, the varieties of grapes and wine. It used to be like that with whiskey for a long time, and we know that different types of corn, different types of rye have different tastes. Not all corn tastes the same, not all rye tastes the same. In fact, you can plant it in different places and it tastes different, just like grapes. So we wanted to incorporate more full flavored grains, that the kind of grains that chefs, if we were liquid chefs, we wouldn't just go get the least expensive commodity grain. We'd buy full flavored grain that has aromatics, that has oils and viscosity, that has flavors that you might not find in super high yielding corn. Um, but high yielding corn doesn't have the flavors that we were looking for. So we ended up finding some great stocks of bourbon made with Cherokee White Eagle corn. This is a corn that goes back hundreds of years. It was cultivated by the Cherokee Nation in North Carolina, coincidentally where Eric is from, coincidentally Appalachia, so it kind of ties in with the wood from the Explorer series. And Cherokee White Eagle corn has aroma and flavor and oils and viscosity that we just don't see in contemporary modern grain. It's been bred out. The flavors and that character has been bred out of modern corn. And so we wanted, as the first step in tribute, to elevate the ingredients in it. So we use a component of white Cherokee corn, which certainly changes the whiskey. It smells different, it tastes different, it feels different. So that was the first choice. The second choice was, we knew that we wanted to bottle this between 85 and 90 proof, so it really would be approachable for a more mass market, for greater number of folks. But what I find is, in general, when products are low proof in the barrel, what it means is that the barrels are harvested, usually at about 120 proof. In order to reduce that 120 proof to 80 proof, you just add a bunch of water prior to bottling, and that diminishes the flavor, that diminishes the color, that diminishes the aroma. It just dilutes everything. So we went through a double barreling process. High cost, high expense, high labor, but it's worth it. So we harvest the barrels, we make the blend of the two different types of whiskey, including the Cherokee White Eagle bourbon, and then we reduce it to about 90 or 92 proof. And we put it in brand new oak barrels for 3 or 4 months. What that does is basically take the proofing water and it barrel ages the proofing water. And you get a depth of character that you generally wouldn't get with a minimum 4-year-old product, because it's seen this double barreling, and it's the water that's been, as much as the whiskey, that's been double barreled. So it's going to give you more of that smoke and spice and wood character than you would generally get in a $40 bottle. And then the last thing we did is we just bring the proof down a little bit between the secondary barreling and the bottling. We bring it down to 86 proof. So it's not 80 proof. It's not the lowest proof that the Code of Federal Regulations allows straight bourbon to go into. It's at 86 proof, slightly elevated proof, elevated wood content. We've wood aged the proofing water, and then of course we use ingredients that like a chef would use if you were really focusing on quality ingredients.
The nose of this is very, very not 86 or not familiar at all. For somebody who does a lot of sensory work, this is let's call a spade a spade. Most of the time, people tell you, oh, the corn is special, and then you're like, oh, bullshit. It's just corn, right? It's going to be okay. But meanwhile, the nose on this is very, very particular. It's almost weirdly particular. Where now you're talking about, we are talking about taste that actually is not familiar to the average bourbon drinker. So you can put some stuff outside, right, and say, oh, it's just an 86%, 86 proof whiskey, but am I the only one who feel like The nose remind me of. No, I'm gonna sound crazy saying this. The nose remind me of Easter. Weirdly, Easter. It's it's anybody had Godiva, like real Godiva chocolate, not the bullshit would be in America, but you're in Europe and you get yourself Cadbury.
Hmm.
Every time I stop at Heathrow, that's all I look for. It's Cadbury chocolate.
Duty free.
There's a certain creaminess that actually, you know what? I don't know, guys. If you don't follow, let's just make sure. Gypsy, I'm bamboozled by this note for now, but I will definitely tell you right now. If you don't, I need you for people on Instagram or Facebook. I need you to actually check out. Um, do me a favor and look up Gypsy. Uh, is Whiskey Gypsy on Instagram. Make sure you follow it. Is Whiskey Gypsy on Instagram. Make sure you actually do Whiskey Gypsy and also on Facebook, Whiskey Gypsy. Go follow them. I want to see. I, I'm one of those people that always say I want to see the evolution of what happened to a spirit. But I challenge every single person. Just do me a favor. Don't even. Let's forget Eric Church, anybody. Just do me a favor and grab a bottle because I just want to see what other people think of this that I think because I don't like you right now. You're making me think. Like I'm nosing this whiskey and I'm like my brain is having a malfunction right now, which is a good thing, but I don't like it.
Jack, these are flavors, and what you're smelling, these are smells that you would find in whiskey 100 years ago. That because procurement decisions at many distilleries have been, for the past 90 years at least, made by accountants rather than whiskey makers in many cases. And because these types of grains were not available at the scale that large manufacturers would need in order to put it in a product, we really wanted to bring back some of these older aromas, these flavors. And
I'm just gonna tell you, tribute should be sold in Africa
And why is that?
because so we eat cornmeal in Africa, and cornmeal is something that poor people eat because that's corn is the only accessible thing. Rich people eat rice, poor people eat cornmeal. And cornmeal, we eat it. Some East Africa will call it ugali, we call it akume, and some other people call it kam on the other side. Some people call it amala. In that, and those are actually heirloom corn that probably didn't cross the continent, of course, here because when we use like Maseka here as a corn, we don't like it because it doesn't have. As a kid, you look forward, especially if you have a stepmother and it's not your own mom. You are not the most fed kid, right? In the house, you're the less fed kid in the house because you feed her kids first. But the craziest thing is right now, the reason why Ari and I are gonna have a beef for the next 3 months is because it remind me of those moments where you were in punishment. Your stepmother make food, and that cornmeal will burn at the bottom when it's cooked. And when that corn burned, that was the best
Hmm.
snack you can have in your life. By having burnt corn meal, you peel it. They call it kanzo where I'm from, and you just eat it. And it's almost like when they cook corn to make whiskey, that high intensity of heat, that cornmeal that just have a little bit of that burnt, a little bit of that sweetness, a little bit of that kind of that char that you feel. I can see everybody sitting around a big plate of cornmeal, especially when you go to villages. They make a little bit of tomato stew and cornmeal, and everybody having a shot of tribute to start their meal.
Hmm.
Like, I want to have some African food right now,
Huh.
just thinking of this because it just has all those flavors. Somebody on IG asked, "Well, how would they pair, a jollof rice?" They make a French, an African chef, and I say, this is African food all the way.
Hmm.
This is cornmeal. This is, I want to pour this on a Jiffy corn cake. Those Jiffy corn, yellow cake, corn cake. You just pour this on top of it and just have it as dessert. The flavors you guys are bringing, and I'm not blowing smoke up y'all, you know what, but the flavors you guys are bringing in Gypsy don't get enough credit. What you're bringing in Gypsy don't get enough credit because you are not doing what everybody's doing. You are different. You obviously you're not trying to be like everybody else, but it is different. And I'm going to keep repeating this. It is different. And I challenge every single person that I've been drinking for a while, grab yourself a bottle and let me know if I'm crazy because this is different and is the most the weirdly combination. Raju obviously is not drinking with us, but obviously love what's happening in the
You
industry.
said you're on a diet. My doctor told me I can't drink till Monday because
I know,
I'm on
right?
a cleanse
And
right
then
now, which
and
is
then and
bad
then
timing for
we
me because
got
I really want to have one.
Ari here, who actually just think about the authenticity of flavors, of grains, of wood. I don't think the spirit get enough credit. I really don't. You know what? Let me ask. I'm not gonna keep you all night here. The question I'm gonna ask is to the both of you: how can people, or what do you believe people can do to help Gypsy whiskey become better? What can people do to support you? Obviously, you're on my platform. This will be reposted, but what can people do? What would you urge people to do so Gypsy become a household name? Because for me, I personally believe Gypsy should be, when we are bringing out the big name of whiskey, or we are bringing out things you should try. I'm urging every single influencer that I know in this industry to give a try to Gypsy because I don't. More people should be talking about this. It's so weird. So what can we do to help y'all?
I appreciate that, and I'll let Ari give his view as well. But well, one, I just want to make sure everybody enjoys it. So that first, I don't want to ask anything people, but I really want to make sure people enjoy it. And then try it with your friends. Like I love, you were talking about Explorer. I've never opened a bottle of Explorer with a group of friends and had any left at the end of it. Even people who don't drink whiskey. So I think, and it's fun. They come back to me and they say, I don't know anything about whiskey, but I love that whiskey. And so to me, enjoy it with your friends. And then obviously socials, posting on socials helps us too, because it's the best way to get the word out there. And we're trying to do this organically. We're not out there. It's a complex story to tell. So, we've spent an hour plus, right, talking about each of these products. It makes it hard. If you're just selling a barrel with a label or a bottle with a label, it's a lot easier. This is a story. I mean, people need to understand, double barrel Cherokee white corn, Appalachian oak, French oak. I mean, these are complex things. That's why for me, try it with your friends. Once they taste it, they'll want to know the story, right? And so I think that in itself, once people try it, that'll solve it. But Ari, I'll let you kind of give your perspective on this.
Yeah, well, I agree with what you said. I think socials are a great way of spreading the word. But really, if you have someone in your life that enjoys whiskey and wants to maybe peek into I think maybe what a unique perspective in whiskey making, a unique expression of a brand, really. Um, the Whiskey Gypsy, all of these products are emanations of the Whiskey Gypsy brand, of what we're bringing, of this approach to whiskey making that's looking for new ways of blending international spirits without regard to which countries. Just blend spirits together that have never come together in the Legacy series. And then for Explore, let's look at culture and agriculture and wood and how different woods from different places in the world interact. If people enjoy wood finishes, I think it behooves them, to use your word, to look at how very regionally specific forests and oak from very specific regions can they can have an appreciation of that. They can get into it through the Explorer series. And then Tribute, again, there's notes of how whiskey used to taste 100 years ago, but there's also all of that wood character. So we just encourage you to share it with your friends, enjoy it with your friends. That's
Jack,
just enjoy it with your friends.
We started this conversation, we're asking how we got into it, and I said I want to respect tradition, but do something different. I think if people enjoy whiskey and they really want to see what blending grains, woods can do for flavor profiles, I think we're being trailblazers here. So I really think it takes time when you're kind of trying something different to get people to understand what you're doing. It is a little frustrating sometimes because every reviewer that's tried it has loved it. And you would hope the word would be out there a little more, but I'm confident as we just keep blocking and tackling and people trying it, you try it, more people try it, the word will get out there.
We need to start that lip service. We need to start. I'm committing to start taking Gypsy with me on all my private tastings so my clients can try it and realize really what blending is about when it comes to whiskey. What would, when people talk about the details, obviously when I teach about whiskey, I'm telling people about the grain, I'm telling people about maturation, the cask, and all these things. How does that come together? This is I, I want to just stand on top of a mountain and start shouting that everybody hold up. You need to try this whiskey and tell me what you think. And I think it's gonna be my new thing. Ari, I think I owe you an apology. I was like, oh, Ari worked on the project. This is great, but I never actually stopped for a moment and go, let me really try what Ari put out there and see if it's. And today I'm ashamed because you're my friend and you are whatever you construct in here is fantabulous, right? And it's more people need to know about this. Like my ultimate goal now is how many people don't know about this, and how do we get more people to know about this? $69 right now is a price point that most people can afford. You're no longer in the premium now. Average people are no shade to anybody, but people are creating shadier whiskey for $69.99.
That's for sure.
And honestly, at $69.99, I'm okay spending money on really good whiskey that can go in a cocktail, that can be paired with a cigar, that can I can take on an event and open up and just get people to actually go. And I challenge people. I think we should have the Gypsy challenge. Show us your Gypsy spirit, so we can actually see if really you have that Gypsy spirit in you. Because honestly, this is fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for making the time of being here. The website is displaying. It's Whiskey Gypsy. Go check it out. Promise you, go check it out. Somebody asked on Instagram if it was in Tennessee. Yes. Is it locally in Tennessee? You can go
Yes.
to a local store and go grab it. Thank you for everyone on Instagram that said they're going to pick up a bottle. Thank you for the people on YouTube that are saying yes, they're already on there. They're gonna actually order the bottle. Go on the website. They ship to you. I tell you now, I know it is hard to actually say, would I want to spend $69 on a bottle? The tribute is great for the everyday drinker, but I know my followers, you guys have been drinking for a while. You know what you're looking for. I challenge you to try the Explorer or be bold and go for the you want to impress a friend, go with the Legacy and let them just lose their mind. For all of you guys here, I want to remind you that whiskey is for everyone. Whiskey is for all of us. Start bringing your friend about whiskey. Always drink responsibly. And any last word from you, Raj?
I just want to thank you, obviously, Jack. This is great. Love your background, hearing what you've been doing, and just appreciate the open mindedness in trying this, and looking forward to some, being friends with you as well, not just Ari, going forward.
Yes, yes. No, I told you we relate on so many level. I came here in this country at 20 years old with just the first semester of college in my pocket, and I 20 years later, I'm still here, and I'm slowly building what I call my American dream.
I
So
love it.
I
I love it.
really understand where you come from, and I tell everybody, anybody that walked in the shoes of an immigrant one day, realize how hard it is to hustle. And it will be my pleasure to talk about Gypsy anywhere I go, to remind everybody that you're not support, it's not about Eric, it's not about Raj, it's not about Ari, but you really supporting the story of friendship and resilience. And that's the
That's a
story to
great way to
it.
put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
Ari,
My friend, thank you so much for having. Thank you so much for having us. Again, we've spoken, at length about our lives and hopes and dreams, and it's an honor to be on a telecast with you. And thank you so much for letting us share this product family with you. We're really, really proud of it.
no, it's my pleasure. Whiskey Gypsy is listed. It's Whiskey Gypsy online. Instagram and all are great, but go on the website and literally grab Whiskey Gypsy. I'm telling you now, $69. Grab it. I'm telling you, I think I'm gonna throw out the Gypsy challenge. I need someone to grab a bottle and tell me. You know what? Even you want to talk smack. I want you to come and talk smack about it. I want to hear it too, right? I want to hear it too. Even if
I
you
would
talk
love to see those videos posted.
correct.
Just
I
link to
want.
Whiskey Gypsy. I'd love to see them.
Correct, correct. The Whiskey Gypsy Challenge. I want to hear it too. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and tell me if I'm crazy or if I'm just hyping it up. I want to hear it. But grab a bottle, and hopefully you come back on the channel and tell me all about it. Now, for all of you guys here, I'm Jack Do. This was Raj Alva, and this is Ari Sussman, and this was Whiskey Gypsy, and hopefully we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers, everybody.